Other big story in baseball is off the field, and they have just kind of scratched the surface of this. John, this looks ugly.
War of words and money. Here we go with the commish.
Yeah, nice headlines. I'll throw another word out there. Might you consider this tampering? All right, let me give you the background. Rob Manfred has started making trips to each of the 30 major league teams where he's meeting with the players. The collective bargaining agreement has 1 year to go. Manfred is preparing to open negotiations on the collective bargaining agreement, but he's proposing radical changes to the next CBA. And he started to make these visits to the respective major league rosters where he's allowed access to the clubhouse and speaks to the players in a group session. And he started to attack Tony Clark, the head of the union. And I'm going to give you a couple of the direct quotes just so you get an idea. But I'll ask this question before I start. Do you consider this tampering? Is it Manfred's responsibility to negotiate in these meetings with the players rather than negotiate with the lawyers and Tony Clark representing the union? He has indicated, I need to talk to the players specifically about the ideas I have about a new collective bargaining agreement, a new revenue sharing agreement, a new structure to how baseball's business is going to operate, because the union is out of touch and Tony Clark won't consider any changes. And then Rob Manfred says, your union leader has a disconnection with you guys, you players. He says baseball's all-time attendance record, all-time TV ratings, highest revenues. Baseball needs to package its media and revenue streams and to make it equal to what the NFL became, what the NBA is, and what the NHL has fast coming. And he told the players, you have the slowest growing salaries of any player in professional sports, slower than the NFL, NBA, or NHL players. And he says, do you know that the deal that Tony Clark has stood fast on allows you to get only 47% of the gross revenue? You deserve 50%, just like NFL, NBA, NHL gets. And he says, we want to change the media deals. We want to have central revenue pools, equal distribution, etc. And then he stood up. I was told about a meeting in Baltimore. And he told them 10% of the players in the rosters make 72% of the salary. He says there's 90% of you guys in this Oriole clubhouse are getting a hell of a lot less because the other guys are getting the bulk of the money. And he said, Tony Clark has done a great job representing the elite player, aka Juan Soto. But Tony Clark has forgotten that he represents the backup catcher, the 11th pitcher on the staff, the 26th man on the roster. I mean, it was a hammer job on the head of the union. Now, under the umbrella of these next negotiations, Manfred wants to change everything as it relates to media, revenue sharing, maybe even a floor to spending. And then the word obviously is going to come out, salary cap, where Tony Clark is adamant we'll never ever have it. But Rob Manfred has said NFL, NBA, NHL, they all have a salary cap or a luxury tax, and everybody's making more than you guys, you 26 guys in the Baltimore Oriole clubhouse that are in this meeting. Amazing, amazing stuff. So, John, go ahead, respond. I threw a lot on the wall. Is Clark holding back on his own players, taking care of just the elite? Is Manfred trying to drive everything towards a salary cap, but yet everybody else is making all this other money in other sports and baseball is not? What's your reaction?
I like the whole concept of him going to the clubhouses of all the ball clubs around America. And, he's given his pitch, which is going to be from his mouth rather than filtered through Tony Clark. Now, granted, the commissioner has an agenda of his own. And while he wants to make more money for the players, including the ones in the middle and the bottom, He wants to make a lot more money for the owners as well, but he's going to spin it, in a way to make it sound good to the 90% of that roster that's not making all the big money. But in the end, I don't think it's tampering. I think it's good when employees of an organization hear straight from the mouth from the president of the organization about what's going on. Now, obviously, the union negotiations are going to go through Tony Clark, but I like what I'm hearing about this, just the whole idea of him talking and listening to the players directly.
Okay, that's a really interesting off the field story in baseball, but that just happened, and it's going to happen as he makes visits to every clubhouse in Major League Baseball. Okay,